Good evening, Paranoid Android. Um, this is going to be one of my last posts. I'm off into other endeavors, but just has anybody read the child story, the kid story about the emperor who had no clothes? The story goes that the emperor gets tricked into by these two swindlers to believe that he's wearing some special clothes that only intelligent people and special people can see, and he walks around in these special clothes, which there are none. They're invisible, and really he's naked, and everybody's afraid to say anything. They just compliment him on his clothes because they don't want to be in not in his favor. And a child points out, hey, look, the emperor has no clothes. He's a kid, the innocence of a child who's not caught up in all that pandering or whatever that is. He just exposes it for what it is. He just, calls a spade, or, 2 plus 2 equals 4. You know what I mean? So we had the Tangerine Terror. He was unfiltered today, or recently anyway, and he was talking about migrant workers, and he was talking about people in inner city, more or less people of color, and he was saying that these people of tropical climates, they do hard labor naturally, and he said these are interesting people, and he said that what's interesting about them is they don't get a bad back, because if they get a bad back, they die. Isn't that interesting? And so, understanding that these guys have been talking about eugenics from the beginning, and seeing it in their rhetoric, from the start, you kind of see now this unfiltered content where this guy is just, saying more or less that he thinks, people of color, are fit for the fields, but if they get sick, it's not like they're going to help them. They just more or less let them die. And more or less, that people are, like living batteries, and that, they're just expendable like batteries. And what I heard about him himself, he believes that people only have so much energy in them, like a battery, and that's why he don't believe in doing physical labor himself. He believes in conserving his energy, and that's what how he conserves his youth or whatever. And but the energy expenditure is for those the melanated peoples. And so this is classic eugenics. This is classic colonialism. This is classic evil. In the guise. And what's interesting is they hide, in the guise of Christianity with all of it. So seeing that, this whole thing is just like a deck of cards, kind of based on extortion. It's like nobody can go against this guy because they're afraid that, they'll cut him off financially, or they probably have some sort of secret on them. So even though that the truth in us, the child in us, or whatever, the truth, we know the truth that this what he's saying is it's the same thing that the Austrian painter was saying, and this is it's alarming, and I think the reason that they're going this route and wanting to use people as like a commodity or a currency is because the dollar is really backed by nothing, and then you have what's called these brick nations all coming together, and they're coming together, and they're like a conglomerate, and their currency is stronger than ours, and that could destabilize the American currency or the American way of life. So what you have is these families, these oligarchs that want to stay in power. So they'll stay in power, any way they can, even if it's, to reintroduce slavery. So what we have the king, with no clothes. He's more or less saying, we plan to do these things, in order to stay in power, in order to create our golden age, in order to not lose our positions, in the world, because he believes he belongs to some sort of divine, special endowed race where they're superior, sort of like the book, Bloodlines of the Illuminati. I'm not sure if you've read that. You can look it up. You can get the free PDF from the CIA website. It's declassified, or you can buy it for $250 off Amazon, or $300. But yeah, it's called Bloodlines of the Illuminati. And these people believe the same way. They believe the same way that the Mango Mussolini, or the Tangerine Terror, or whatever you'd like to call this, fascist dictator. That's what's happening. So anywho, one of my last casts, I have something else I want to do, and love you guys. Take care.
Back to their country with a pass back in legally, and we're doing things that are that are very difficult to do and very complex, but it works really well. We're sending them back, and then they're schooling, they're learning, they're coming in legally. We have a lot of that going on, but we're taking care of our farmers. We can't let our farmers not have anybody, these people, you can't replace them very easily. People that live in the inner city are not doing that work. They're just not doing that work. And they've tried, we've tried, everybody tried. They don't do it. These people do it naturally. I said, what happens if they get it to a farmer the other day? What happens if they get a bad back? He said, they don't get a bad back, sir, because if they get a bad back, they die. I said, that's interesting, isn't it? These are very, in many ways, they're very, very special people. Okay, go ahead.
No, okay, so